The fucking bass is fucking raw!
You know, collab characters have always been kinda weird. On one hand, if you pick your collabs correctly, at least a portion of your audience should be the fans of the IP you're doing a collab with and should be happy about it. I know the "I know what that is" meme has been around for forever now, but honestly, it's usually pretty cool to see characters from one property you like have a crossover with another. People can say it's a cheap way to get engagement, but there's a reason everyone wants their favorites to come to Smash. It's just plain fun. Unfortunately, there are a couple of downsides to consider. The first is the world/immersion breaking. No matter how much you like a property, it's not like your brain will ever not realize that the character doesn't belong there. Even if you're not aware of the other IP and wouldn't recognize it as a collab, usually they're in a different style, or the design doesn't fit the rest of the game to the point where they just stick out. And also, the collab can turn into only downsides if you don't care for, or worse, dislike the other IP. Now it's just a fucking plague that will always be there to take care of the experience for the sake of something you don't even like. Different games solve this issue in different ways. Some avoid it by having the whole point of the game be that all the characters are from different games. This way, the immersion is never broken because the whole point is that you recognize everyone from other IPs. Just watch out to not add too many Fire Emblem characters. Other games started their lives as their own separate world, but then began aggressively collabing with everything that breeds, until it just became the game's identity. RIP Magic. You guys are now just playing non-weeb Weiss-Schwartz. Although I'm sure the guy who dreaded having to figure out how to draw a water monster in a new way after 20 years is happy at least. Anyway, why am I even talking about collabs? This video was meant to be about Escoffier, not a collab character. What am I, stupid? Perhaps. But this is one of the parts that makes her design great. She's one of the only collab characters that isn't actually a collab character, and therefore becomes one of the best joke characters out there. See, Escoffier is very clearly based on Arena from Food Wars and Gordon Ramsay from The Shit Show We Live In. Although obviously taking more inspiration from the funny raw man, presumably because someone on the design team thought that Ramsay becoming an anime waifu was funny. This person is a fucking god. What we're left with as a result is basically the concept of dramatic irony as a character. Listen, despite what the lawyers might say, we all know that this is Gordon. They have the same signature dish. They're both head chefs who put a lot of love and passion into what they do, but that passion makes them act quite loud and dramatic in the kitchen. I mean, Esco's trailer is literally them trying to make a TV show around her. It's actually just the start of Kitchen Nightmares. Now, think of this in the term of a collab character. You get all the benefits of, in every way but literally, getting to play as Ramsay, which is a joke that has existed since the game started, and you still lose none of the immersion. Since Escoffier is only a parallel, it just means that Tavad simply also has a headstrong ginger chef who takes no nonsense in the kitchen. And it's funny to us cause we know it's Gordon, but it doesn't break the immersion cause she's her own character. And it doesn't weird out the other characters in the game cause she's just another person in Tavad. Now, the disadvantage of this approach is that you can't do it all the time. You can't simply take another design, change a couple of colors around, and act like it's a brand new— What? What the fuck is an Emu Nahida? As I was saying, you can't simply take someone else's design, change a couple of colors and pretend it's fine, but here it works a lot better because it's an homage to a real person, and it fully leans into it. Especially with the other big motif in her design, her demon/imp side. This is clearly used to play into the chef from hell idea. It shows how other chefs see her. A ruthless perfectionist who doesn't mince her words when dishing out criticism, and who also has the skills and experience to back up everything she says. She's a devil to work with and a nightmare to try to best in skill, as her own quest has shown. But we'll get to that hidden gem later. This characterization, however, guides a lot of her design. Her apron, which turns into a dress, follows the outline of a classic anime demon outfit. Despite being different clothes, they give off the same silhouette, especially when paired with her tail featuring a pitchfork at the end. The same pitchfork that can be found if you decide to spend some extra pulls to complete the look with a weapon. That is, at the same time, a fork and a devil's pitchfork, with little wings on the side. So evil. Which fits into both sides of her design. Now, on the note of her fashion though, there is an elephant waiting for me to address it. An elephant so big that after I finished the first draft of the script and went to look up other people's breakdowns to see if I missed anything, I couldn't fucking find any. This is because the only thing I could find online about her design is that she's too naked. So I think it's time to talk about the fanservice nature of her outfit. Now, I already talked about how I disliked how they shortened Sandroni's skirt in the past. Yo, check out this idiot thinking they might actually change her design if the CN site complains. What the hell was my dumbass thinking? But yes, this outfit is quite revealing. And I'm not the biggest fan of how in-your-face her lingerie is. Nor am I crazy about the fact that they made it so detailed for the exact purpose of being horny from the start. But there are some caveats that, in my personal opinion, make Esco's design a bit more justifiable. As my main problem with this type of fanservice has always been that it feels like a company is trying to take clothes off of a character for the sake of people who are willing to throw money at that type of stuff. And since these are not real people, who should be allowed to wear whatever makes them feel the best, and if you think otherwise, I will fucking find you, it's hard to feel like it's not just a company shoving something down your throat. Like, you have to wonder, was Sandrone's skirt cut in half because the character would want to wear it that way, or because some executive thought it was a brilliant idea to make more money? I don't know, maybe they give some explanation in the quest? Although at that point, it comes down to if you believe that the skirt idea came first or the characterization did. But I do like characters like Lisa, because she seems to be having fun wearing what she's wearing. I think it's comedy that Yelena is canonically kinky. More power to it as long as it makes sense for the character and doesn't give that icky feeling like a company is just trying to make money off of you. So, after all that, where does Esco lie? Could have been worse. While her outfit would be considered a hazard in any actual kitchen she tries to work in, it does add to the theme and is based on anime demons, which go from a little horny / seductive to straight up succubi. I will off the bat say that it's pushed too far. The lingerie being as detailed as it is doesn't really add anything to the character and is definitely there for a different purpose. The clothes themselves are held up by hopes and dreams for sure, but overall, it's hard to say that this design is there just for fanservice. It's not like Hoyo hasn't been turning their designs horny from day one, it's just that this one is a bit more aggressive. Getting back to the Demon Chef's outfit, yes, her title in her own story is Demon Chef, just if anyone thought of making this up or looking too deep into it. One thing you might notice is that it further reinforces the idea of the demon and chef duality by giving the parts of her that are not the apron a red and black devil theme. In other words, she's not wearing a chef's apron with an imp motif, she's wearing an imp outfit that has an apron integrated into it. This is also why the front part has too many gaps in it. Though you can see that only one of it is covered up in the red and black part, while the other one is normal. This is done to reinforce asymmetry. Escoffier's design is filled with it. The only parts missing it are her cuffs, which are the same with both sides, her legs as a whole, and her vision. Everything else about her is asymmetrical. Her dress is obviously very half and half, but at no point are the two halves the same. Her hat has the insignia on the side of it. The front of her hair has one side be both way longer and have less volume than the other, with a little swirl as well. And while the back looks symmetrical, it's not. Honestly, I wish it was a bit more pronounced because it's kinda hard to see, to the point where you can even make the argument that it's meant to be the same on both sides, they just added a bit extra. But not only does the braid on the side disprove that, when Hoyo wants a character to be same on both sides, they're exactly the same. Still could have stood out a bit more. But why is she so asymmetrical? Well, the answer to that is the same as to why she has a cryovision, or this burst animation. It all signals perfection. See, in her burst animation, you can see the golden spiral. Now, I'm sure you're at least somewhat familiar with it, so I'm gonna keep this brief, for your sake, of course. Not because I used to be really good at math, and then I stopped being really good at math, so I'm trying to keep the amount of fuck-ups in this segment to a bare minimum, because by the point I was learning this, I was sleeping in class, and the exact maths of it aren't that important, but are still kind of relevant. Okay, wish me luck, love you, bye! Basically, if you follow the Fibonacci sequence, where you add up the two previous numbers to get a new number, you will keep getting new numbers. For, in infinity if you feel like it. But the thing people figured out is that the higher you get, the closer the new numbers are to what's known as the golden ratio. This ratio being 1.61803 blah 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 blah. It's a really long number. The relevant part is that this setup means it's inherently asymmetrical, as symmetry would be a 1-to-1 ratio. And this spiral is basically what happens if you make a grid using the Fibonacci sequence and draw a line through it. And it's a shape that can be found everywhere in nature. Which doesn't matter too much because the relevant part is that here in today's media, the golden ratio is basically a shorthand for perfection. If the name the golden ratio wasn't a hint, it has been used in many famous art pieces, and is often used in modern media and film because it is appealing to the human eye. This definitely gives it a genius or hidden perfection type of feel, so it is quite often a shorthand for it. And here it's used to represent Escoffier's perfectionist personality. The asymmetry of the design is used to point to it, and the burst animation is a little hint to help. And thank fuck for the hint, by the way, because otherwise there would be zero fucking way I would connect the dots on it. I am very stupid. Funnily enough, this also explains why she has a cryovision. While most chef characters are usually represented with fire, because, you know, 1, fire is often used to cook stuff, and 2, it often symbolizes passion, which is going to be many chefs' personality trait, Escoffier is ice, because it represents her so much better. First of all, it reinforces how other chefs and even critics see her. The Ice Queen, the cold demand for perfection. It's not hard to imagine that others literally get chills if they have to present a dish to her. But ice itself also very often represents perfection. The perfectly symmetrical snowflake, the perfectly clear ice that is really difficult to make, so it also represents skill and craftsmanship. All parts of showing who Esco is as a character. And speaking of craftsmanship, her quest is quite good too. A good segue me, thanks me, I thought it was pretty clever. I'm so alone. The plot itself is quite wild. Basically, Esco went to prison because one of her chefs used an illegal substance in the kitchen, and she took the blame as the head chef. Nobody really gives a shit though, especially when you remember we went to jail for cake. But when she's released, her old chefs beg her to come back. Cause the new girl in charge is one of those people who don't get that if you're gonna be yelling at people who are worse than you at something, you have to tell them what to fix. So, Escoffier basically says, fuck it, we ball. Challenges her to a Shokugeki and loses. But not like in a this girl is so good she's even better than Escoffier, but more like Escoffier's food randomly sucks. Which is bad cheating, honestly, cause something is clearly up. I mean, I by power learned you can't just act like you forgot how to use your hands one day, people will get suspicious. And that cheating scandal was like a decade ago, she really should have studied up. Anyway, it turns out she made this girl sabotage us, but then that girl turns into the real villain and turns the tables on her, and makes her go to these ancient ruins to find some fucking MacGuffin, and you follow them, and in the meantime, you realize that the guy who started the place where they work at brought that illegal substance that got Esco jailed to Fontaine in the first place, but then after using it in his food a bunch, he could no longer taste anything, so he fucking kills himself, and then his best friend hid his suicide note to save him from the shame, but then was accused of killing him his whole life, and then the cave collapses and the girl dies, and I was just gonna play a chill quest with Gordon Ramsay in it. What the fuck just happened? Anyway, besides the unhinged plot, the part I find really good about this quest is the themes of it. It talks very heavily about talent and the nature of it. It's interesting to see how Escoffier sees the topic as someone who is very clearly above everyone else in her field. The constant talking about how she was born so talented pisses her off because, put simply, people don't appreciate how hard she works behind the scenes. And if you know people who are really good at stuff, you know that they often have this borderline obsession with it. They can talk about it for hours, they can think about it for hours, they want to understand every part of it and get better and better. And they put in a lot of effort into it. And I think Escoffier is a great representation of someone like that. So it definitely pisses her off when people assume she was just born better. Because she shows a couple of times during the quest how dedicated and willing she is to devote herself to cooking. It's just a lot more than I thought we would get from a simple, frankly kind of unimportant character. So, to summarize, when creating Escoffier, they took Gordon Ramsay and basically made him playable without losing any immersion. They started with the idea of a chef from hell and turned into a half chef, half demon. Then they gave her the golden ratio to signal her perfectionist type personality. Then made her design asymmetrical to go with that theme. And used the dichotomy between the white chef and the black demon to make her dress have duality in it but still not make it symmetrical. Gave her the cryovision to go with the idea of cold perfection, and also building further into how people perceive her. And then gave her a quest exploring the nature of talent and hard work itself. But fuck all that, cause I guess she doesn't have enough clothes. All those ideas are meaningless. F-. Design sucks and you guys didn't even try. Just give up. Man, I just feel like this character got done a bit dirty. By whoever wanted her to be more naked. By the community itself. It's just kind of unfortunate. Anyway, thanks for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.